Yay. So apparently we are live. Let me just double check on my YouTube channel. Let me just check. That's a good sign. Is there sound? Let me just check. Excellent. Right. Mute that. There we go. Excuse me 1 second. Right. Gonna just wait for a few minutes, see if anyone turns up. So I hope a few people will join in. Hello, good evening. Good evening. How are you all doing? Thanks. Just going to wait a few moments for people to kind of challenge, give people 5 minutes. First of all, belated Happy New Year to you if I haven't said it to you already. But I hope you enjoy tonight's session, and this year will be much, much better for you all. Basically, what I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm celebrating hitting my first 71 subs on my channel. It's been an effort to get there. But to finally get to that point where we're looking for here, I wonder if I can even make that a little bit. I wonder if I can zoom that in a little bit. Wait for that software to open up. So basically, video that I did a while back, released in 2017, I had just passed the 7,000 view level on that as well. So that's a really nice achievement, and 7K views, 2 great achievements this year. Plus, more importantly, I also had an artwork commission that's on a that's better on a store, on a basic little coffee shop. So what I didn't know what I was going to draw at first. I didn't know what I was going to draw, what I was going to bring before you, but I thought that as I was going through some of my artworks, I saw a few pieces that I haven't finished. So I thought, you know what, let's go until I've got some actual normal videos for you. I'm going to be doing some of this. So before I go into what I'm going to be doing, this is what I'm going to work on today. But I'm going to do a sort of a show and tell type thing, so you can sort of see those characters that he drew when he was a teenager, or just getting his teenage years. And he had a competition where you had to redraw his artwork in your own style. And this is my concept of this character sort of defending Jazza's territory against a popular YouTuber. He was having a bit of a excuse me. He was having kind of a bit of a friendly banter between the two of them, friendly rivalry. So that's what this one was, and this is what I'm going to sort of finish off today. So I'm going to ink it in, and then this is the second one that I did, competition piece I did. Again, it's another Jazza. A lot of this is Jazza stuff, but this is another Jazza one I've done. For the most part, this is finished, but there are some areas where I just need to finish up. So, like, for example, put some more details on the gun, put some more, little bit, detail some of these other bits out, just to fill it up a bit and just to make it. Excuse me. The what was it called? This is the My Oasis competition. Now, this one here was another little project I did. Let me just flip this around. Called Voodoo Val on Twitch. I don't know if she's still there. I know she does Zuby stuff, but she was on a channel called Voodoo Val, and she did this thing where on Star Wars Day, the May the 5th be with you, May the 4th be with you, and Revenge of the Return of the 5th. She put it out there, Force Hunter. So they've got Jedi powers, but they're actually bounty hunters. And their purpose and their goal is to, for good or bad, to basically find people with force powers and sell them, and basically get money for obtaining these different characters. And I came up with 6 different designs. Sorry, my throat is a bit dry today. This is my Mandalorian version, which this is one of my favorite ones. I just think this really works well. And with the Mandalorian that came out recently, it kind of, I think I did this before that came out. It's kind of a nice serendipitous feel to it. This one here is what I call my He-Man style. And this is one of my second favorite ones for 2 reasons. One, I just like the style of it. I just think he looks really good. And I feel like on this particular proportions, more accurate than some of the other ones. I still see areas of improvement. but proportionally, I'm fairly happy with where this looks. But I also like how the cloth feels and the pose as well. You know, there's a lot of things that I like about this, and the way that cloth really just flaps past him like that. So that's one I really can't remember the name of what I called it actually. So it's a bit different. So it's like half human, half robot, whatever. Quite like that one. This was the first completed one I did, and I've actually done this full color. And I don't know if I've released the video yet, but I know anatomical things are not right. From not so bad, still something that's, you know, a challenge for you getting the legs right. So, you know, I've made some tweaks on it, but this one generally I'm quite happy with for the most part. This one here, I can't remember what type of character this one is, but again, tried something new. I tried to do a different pose, trying to be more creative, and I put a lot more detail in the Battle Droids style version. And then this one here is my sort of, you know, he looks and stuff, but I think for me, although again I see things where it needs work, the things I think I see that I like is just the chest piece and the level of detail I've put in there, and it's really kind of much more fun. That's those. Now this one is not as you might recognize this. This is the drill. I got little speeder things. You got Fab 1 in the back there, Thunderbird 2, Thunderbird 1 in the back. Somewhere on here, if I included it, no, I didn't actually include it on this one. In the final piece, I think I've included Thunderbird 5 as well, but I can't, and Thunderbird 4, but I can't see it in this. It's interesting. I thought I'd put it in here. So that's that one, but that's not a complete piece. This one, which is a scrap of different characters, different. It was basically a big party, a big arty party, and you had to represent that. And this is a mishmash of different characters. I've finished the piece, but this one, this is like a reworking of that concept piece. So I need to work on that and do some more work on that. You know, build that up a bit more as well. This one here, if anyone's been watching my channel, you'll know that I did one of the app things, and one of them was building a nuclear plant. I never thought I'd draw a nuclear plant in my life, but this was what came out of it. I'm looking on it now. I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with the angle. And then I think lastly, again, we are doing a lot of Jazza competition pieces. They won't all be that, but for the moment, that most of this is that. And this is another redrawing of my Spring Out of Autumn thing. It's a better version of the one I did before. Is this chap here. And my goal tonight is to say, in celebration of the, you know, hitting the sub goals and stuff like that, I'm going to ink this guy in, fill out some of the details in the back, and try and bring this out a little bit more. And then over the next few weeks, whether it be this one or the next one, I'm going to start finishing some of these pieces. That's sort of going to be the goal. Because I don't have any actual normal videos. I've got content, but not any normal videos at the moment. So at least if I do a live stream, you've got something to watch. But anyway, you probably had enough of me yabbering. So let's start getting some pens out. So we need our number 1, 2. In fact, let me turn this fire off because it's getting I'm getting a bit hot over here. There we go. A bit too much heat. All right. So let's start with the eyes here. I haven't put any what do you call it, eyebrows on him. And let me just change my glasses a second. Put my slightly stronger ones on, just so I can see all the detail. Yeah, see, happening. Been a lot happening over the last year or so, and you know, we're hoping that this year would start off a bit more, at least with a little bit of hope, and then without going into detail, we get hit with another little controversy that happens first thing, and pretty much as soon as the year begins. This year has not exactly started on the best foot, but let's hope that it will finish better than it started. Now, one of the artists, if I'm going to just move some of this paper out of the way a bit, actually, because it's just moving around too much. There we go. There's one artist I do like a lot. I don't know if some of you may already be aware of it. It's James Reyes. I do love his style, and what I love about his style is the detail that he puts into his artworks, into his pieces, and sort of incorporating that where possible as well myself. Because I'm a big details person. I love detail. Now I do add a fair bit of detail myself. So I'm not going to lie, I don't put. I do add a fair bit of detail. But one thing I do find is that sometimes when I see big open spaces, I don't always know how much detail to put in. So sometimes I do struggle to, figure out what to put in there. What often in some of my earlier artworks, as you may or may not see, there's often little gaps because I don't know. I just get a blank of what kind of is kind of just got to kind of just throw things out there, so to speak. He has never said that, but some of the but some of the ways in which he or some of the pieces that he does throw things out there a little bit, and certain details that stand out. You probably don't know, but because I've not said it, but different shapes. And one of the things I've kind of done, which to help me a lot, is when I'm sketching out, if I just do a few squiggles here and there and everywhere, just random squiggles, nothing planned or anything like that, just to get, like, say for example, buildings, I find I can sometimes bring a building into that wouldn't have necessarily shown before. I'm probably not making a lot of sense, but especially if I'm doing it like a science fiction themed picture, if I'm doing like something that's very futuristic, if I show put a lot of random shapes, as I'm doing the random shapes, eventually, and I can do it. But if I just try to draw something from my memory, so to speak, if I just say, right, for example, I drew the London Eye, or same drawing, there's no creativity in that if I'm drawing something that's already been seen. So to come up with something that looks good but is actually different and not been seen before, it's a lot harder to create something purely out of the top of your head. So sometimes you have to kind of throw caution to the wind, throw some random shapes out there. Really, really would. See, even here, I've already drawn his hair in, but I'm adding extra detail in his hair. Because if I remember rightly, this character is basically supposed to be like a manga style character. Already starting to look, fairly decent. I think the feature I like best is I love the nose. The nose is not something I would normally do that well, so I'm quite pleased with how the nose looks. Just off the start. Okay. And it's something I did struggle with. Now, painting it was actually a lot easier than I thought. And when I say painting, like digitally painting it, I actually found digital painting the shirt a lot easier. I love to see things that I didn't see when I was doing this part. Because originally I had this shirt completely split in two. But when I was digitally painting it, it occurred to me that need to link this so there's there's almost like a string attaching the the part, and it's just being connected by a very, very small piece of the t-shirt. The top. I don't know if that makes any kind of sense at all. Because obviously he's been in the middle of a bit of a tussle with somebody, or with a group of people. Itchy eye, sorry. Now this is where it gets this is where it gets a little tricky, because obviously it's going to be stretching here. It's going to be pulling and pulling on this end. So that's where it gets really tricky. The more you learn how to make it look like it's being pulled. I think that's feeling a lot like it's being stretched, which is good. Now you might notice I'm jumping from one end to the other, and that's because I'm just trying to get it so that it all links and it looks like it's one, opposed to making it look too. You think of all these statues you see, like the Statue of Liberty, or or Caesar, or any or David, or any of these statues where they're wearing togas and things like that. You look at those statues and there's movement going on, and that's what I'm trying to get with this, is that sense of movement, even though it's. And by going up and brilliant, okay. So this is the bottom part of his shirt. I think the trick with this, though, is to make it random but not look like it's random. Because you can make it random, but you can make it so random that it doesn't look right. Go too far with it, and then it just doesn't look right at all. So although it needs to be still random, how it feels natural. Okay, so that's the outside of the shirt. So they're here, the top part of the t-shirt. Now, initially, I've got the muscle here, but I'm thinking with the angle this is in, I think it'd be quite good to keep this part of the shirt in there, so that it's still kind of visible. Whereas on the original, you can literally see the whole muscle there. But I think it's going to be quite good to not have that this time around. But you see how, just, although, I'm not going too far with it, but in doing so, I'm seeing areas where I can add creases and shapes and things like that to make it look more natural and real. which I hadn't done before, and I've not done it with a pen before, at least not for a long time anyway. Okay, so that's the shirt, I think. Oh, almost. Let me just do this last little bit here, just to finish it up. There you go. Okay, so there's the shirt. So you can to fill it out, and you can see where we're going with the muscle. Because it's muscle, so it's going to be a lot more defined. Some shade in the back of the shirt. My one, because obviously I'm copying, it was a recreation of his image. It has a couple of scars on his chest. So what I'm going to try and do is try and indicate that here is not actually easy to pull off. I think it's probably easier to pull off some clothes flowing in the background than it is to pull off a scar, from my experience. But also, there's a little bit of blood that's popping from it because obviously he's just been cut and whatever. And that's something else I've been doing a lot better at is indicating, droplets of blood. Sometimes when you're in a bit of a battle and there's, you have to have some level of blood because otherwise it won't be real. It won't look right. And what I'm doing here is hopefully indicating the flow of blood trickling down the side of his body. At least that's what I'm hoping I'm portraying. All right. Now the next up is his neck. Part of his shoulder. He's coming along, actually. He's coming along. There's his belt. Excellent. Right. Now I might need to adjust this somewhat because I have learned some things about how the legs work a bit. Because the leg where the bottom of the leg fits with your foot, I have noticed it, and drawing legs, especially at different angles, has always been a challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie with you on that. Has always been a challenge. That's his pocket. Now the knee on this, I'm not so worried about that one. I'm fairly happy with the knee on that. There's the other pocket. When I originally did this this particular piece, I didn't. I don't know if I didn't finish it because of time or whether I just didn't plan on colouring. I can't remember exactly, but I know obviously when you've got competitions, you've only got a certain amount of time to do stuff, and time was very, very short on this. On what I did it originally, so hopefully that flows more and it'll feed more into the foot. That needs to stretch a bit more in terms of. All right, so let's start working on the hands. Okay, so I'm going to put the scar in first because I say there's another scar here. But the difference is you can see the blood coming out a bit more. And because it's more of an angle, hopefully I can indicate the scar a little better. Make it look like a deep cut. And there's actually two of them. So hopefully that's coming across. Then you've got the muscle, the different muscle here. Not an easy thing to do. Drawing straight lines freehand, though, that's something I'm actually all right with. I'm actually relatively good at doing that, as you'll see in a moment. It's taken practice to do it, but I can do it. But drawing fingers at an angle, that's another ballgame altogether. Especially trying to get them in proportion as well. There we go. Now I do get to silent mode when I'm doing like finer detail. That's one area where I do start to gun's looking good so far. Now, if you see the picture I did for the competition, and as I said, it's my artwork. I can't remember what the name called the artwork now. But if you watch my Redraw Jazza's art video on my channel, you will see that a particular style gun was more based on his actual drawing. Slightly different turn and change, and I liked the look of the new version of that pistol, which is why I kind of went with that. Preferred the one I did for the end result. There we go. Right. And obviously, we've got to make that clear that there's a and the other part of this was tricky, was trying to get this, even though it's from an angle, looking level. A lot of people saying a lot of different things, you know, oh, you shouldn't join the competitions because these companies take advantage of you and yada, yada, yada. And there probably is some stock in it. I think it might be a bit conspiracy theorist, because at the end of the day, these guys know that if they had copied your idea, they could get sued. So there's the chances of them actually doing that for that reason is very unlikely, you know. But I'll say this: whether you agree with that it is that way or not, the thing about these competitions, whether you enter it and you feel like you're being cheated or not, is it does push you to do something different than you would normally do. If you most people, and I'm generalizing here, and I don't think that's all, but sometimes we can be caught up with what we're used to doing. We might change the hairstyle a little bit. We might make the odd changes here and there, but you know, if you look back at it, chances are it's going to feel like the same cat every time. You're not really drawing a different. You're not really drawing a different animal. But if you actually say you draw a dog, for example, as if it was a cat, then you're actually changing your style. Then you're actually kind of pushing yourself to think outside of the box. Or maybe you draw a cat that's got dragon wings, or you draw a dragon that looks like a cat. You try and, you try and change it. But I think for the most part, and as I'm generalizing, it might not be, I'm sure it's not the case with everybody, but you can sometimes just draw the same thing over and over again, and you get really good at drawing that thing over and over again. But you never came up. I never thought I'd draw a picture of a guy clawing his way off the top of a building with a big metal claw for hand. That wouldn't have been something I would have automatically thought we work as a design. But it's only because somebody else thought of it, put it as a competition, and changed, put it out there. It helped me to think differently, think more creative, and thinking, okay, how can I make this different? But also not just the person who come up with the idea, trying to compete with other people. When you see other people's designs and other people's art concepts and ideas, rethink how you do it, and it just potentially pushes you to try something new, to try and, in a way, in good competition, outdo that person. You need to outdo the other person because you're trying to ideas or different angles or different. Now, you see, there's something different. That muscle was the same as it did before. And again, there's that trickle of blood. I'm trying not to copy the same idea. So yeah, so here's the gun. So here's the pistol there along, because I'm looking at this and thinking some of these angles aren't 100% right. Okay, so now one of the fun bits, the bit of the what do you call it, the robotic arm. I'm not going to colour this particular version because this is just the inked in version I'm finishing off. If you go to my channel, look for the Draw a Jazza challenges. There should be an actual in amongst the Challenge of the Month playlist, and you'll see the coloured version of this. But with the touches I've changed now, it won't be the same. It won't be exactly the same as this version. It'll be very similar. But as I said, I've made a few changes on this one to make it just that bit more interesting, you know? And there's pieces I missed as well on this one, on the previous one. Also, the one I did on the for the competition, the final version of the competition, done before. Not really tried a gold trim effect, not to that level anyway. And I think, personally speaking, I think it looked quite decent. I mean, judge for yourself, but I personally think it looked quite neat. So I'm doing this to make it look. I'm adding extra lines here. I don't know if you can see very well, but I'm adding extra lines here. I'm liking how that arm looks already. I'm really liking how that arm looks. Now I will need to make some changes here because I can definitely see that there are some anatomical errors on this part. But we'll try and fix them as we go along. That's one of the things I would say. People that don't like inking their work, and that's fine. You know, it's totally, you know, it's your prerogative, it's your choice whether you want to ink it in or not. You don't have to ink it in if you don't want to. But they don't like inking it in because they feel that it can take away the case. I think there's some leniency with that, and I'll explain in a minute what I'm saying. But I do understand where they're coming from. I do understand their sentiment, because there is something about when you do a pencil drawing that's different than when you ink it in. But I think it depends on how you ink it in. You know, if you ink it in right, I'm not saying I'm an expert, not by a long shot, but if you ink it in right, the inked in version, how you ink it in, as you saw me doing, I'm in scratches. I'm being a bit more looser with it. I'm being just a little bit more free flowing. I'm not just, I'm not just adding lines for the sake. But I think it really is, it's really important to do it. And hopefully I've improved the way that arm looks as well. But I couldn't do that. Well, I could have done it with pencil, but sometimes doing it in ink does help force me to kind of put a bit more emphasis on it. Because some of the inking work I've done, I like some of the inking work I've done. I think some of my inking work looks good, and that's my own personal opinion on my work. I'm not saying, I'm not comparing myself with anybody else, but I'm saying for me and for what I, for my efforts on it, did when it was in pencil. But there is definitely merit for saying that inking in can spoil the way a piece looks. But again, I do think that depends on how you ink it in. For example, it could be a style thing. The style, the way you ink it in, could be the old, these old books from the old the Charles Dickens era, the Victorian times. Some of the drawings in those are quite amazing when you look at them. They're pretty intense drawings, and they're just. And unlike me, where I've got this pen, the ink that they use is actually like a fountain pen, like a feather or whatever it was, or whatever they used at the time. So it's not even like proper inking. Well, so it's not even like these pens that have ink in them that I don't need to keep dipping it in the jar. But you look at those drawings and they're just as amazing to look at as any pencil drawing that you might have seen. So that's why I don't think it's strictly doing how you do your etching. Because you can still have character in there. Okay, so we're coming up to a little bit of an hour. I'm not sure how long I'll go for. I'm going to try and see if I can do this until it finishes, but because I'll still need to take a break. I've got work tomorrow, so I still need to take some time out. But I want to try and get as much done as I can. So at least this piece is finished. And I say if I have to come back to this next week, I'll come back to this next week. So for the next few weeks, until I can have some normal videos on my channel, I'm planning to do some live streams for the time being. Do some artwork streams or whatever. Now, whether it will make my channel grow more, I don't know. Only you guys, the audience, can make that happen. I can't personally do that. It's really down to you guys watching this. But so I'm going to have to take a chance and invent the string and hope that it works. Cool. See, I've not done that before. That kind of style of Now, speaking personally, I don't particularly like these claws. And I'm not saying I don't like my claws necessarily. I just mean the idea of these type of claws. I'm not a big fan of it because they look weird. That was part of the design on the original design, so I'm doing it. But to me, they kind of look a bit on the weird side. But, you know, they are what they are. And again, I would never draw this myself personally. I would never draw a character with these kind of claws on them. So add a bit of shine on there. Do the same on that one. Cool. And there's the last one there in the back. Okay. So this is where I'm concentrating again. Okay, so there's the flag. All right. So I think that's enough on the inking side, at least the initial inking. I will do some thicker inking later on. Maybe I'll do that next time on the next one, but going on with that. So so let's do that. This is just give it a sense of height, you know, sense of depth. I don't know if you can see it very clearly on your screen, but hopefully you can. Oh, that's in. Had noticed that was in shot. So I can get the angle of that building right. It's all there, isn't it? That's it. Good. Right. There we go. Right. So trying to make the windows even. If I do it rougher in the center of each one, then depending on how many sets of windows I want, I can add an extra line inside and make it even. Make the gap smaller. Okay, because we've got another building here. Which is more in the foreground. I think I'll give them a bit more detail. Not much, just a little bit. It can detract from the main character, so I want to kind of keep it so that the focus is on him, not the buildings. I'm going to have one of those little air vent things, or two of them. Yeah. Your fans. Maybe a couple of pipes or something over the edge there. I have no idea why I have. Now, to be fair, I'm making these buildings relatively boring, but I don't want. I'm not doing a Spider-Man thing. I'm not going to that town, so I just want to make these buildings so they're at least somewhat interesting. In fact, I might even just add a tiny bit more detail in this one, just to add some variety. And maybe just add some little curves here. But I said I don't want to add too much detail. I don't want to make it. I'm also trying to make sure the angles are right as well. Yeah. Okay. Like that, that's going to be out more as well. Okay. How are we doing? 1 minute, 1 hour 12. So we're going to probably wrap up relatively soon. But so far, I'm good. So far, I am kosher. If I remember right, I think I just worked on it to just try and get them in there. Don't think I really was thinking that much on how they look or how they're going to feel. But now I'm looking at how they can fit together. Good stuff on that one. Getting smaller and smaller. As it goes further down. So I hope you're getting a sense of scale now. Like he's floating above the buildings and really kind of. Now this one here, pretty much hanging on to. Okay. All right. If you're getting there. And I'm going to do something a bit different here because we've got a building in the UK that's kind of like a phone. I can't remember the name, what it's called, but it's considered the mobile phone because of the shape of it. It's a really weird shape. I personally don't like the building. I think it's ugly, but that's my personal opinion. The Shard I don't mind. I love the Shard for that one, but this one, the mobile phone building, just horrible. But to add, it will at least add a bit of difference to the to this image. So that's that one. But I want to add this one because this is slightly in front of it, I think. So we'll add this one in first. that I hadn't considered as an option. There we go. And some side panels. Now, if this looks decent enough, I might just use this for the backdrop, because originally my original plan was to use this kind of background for the character. But when I say, because of the competition and the time it took and everything else, time is going fast, so I had to kind of alter my plans slightly just so I can get this piece out in time for the, for the deadline for the competition. Now, sadly, I didn't win, didn't get the mention, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. But at least I got it out in time. At least I got the artwork submitted in time, so hopefully people at least saw it, if just in the gallery. This building is actually turning out quite decent, actually. I quite like this building. I might use this. It's definitely showing, isn't it? It's definitely showing. I don't know. I can't 100% say whether the perspective is bang on, but I'm not going to stress too much. But I am happy with how. And also, it's not looking like just a bunch of boxes stuck together. It's actually starting to feel like an actual city. Improvised and had to really just make one building and stretch it and move it around as much as I could to make it work. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Actually, kind of looks like that. I have other people to worry about. I'm really liking. For me, it's giving that depth that I was waiting for. That's what I was hoping for. Okay, so there's another building here with even less detail. Oh, actually, I can make that a pool. Look, I didn't plan it, but this is now a pool. But you see what I mean by, when you just squiggle things out, you don't always see what, it's amazing what ideas come to you when you're doing it. Right, so these buildings in the background on this, so I'm going to stop it. I've said that about half an hour ago, but but we're definitely getting to that point where I can call it a day. I'll say these buildings back here, definitely not going to have too much detail. Jazza. I just realized some drops of blood there as well. Just a few more buildings to do. To squeeze in there. This has been fun, actually. This was a really good thing to do. It's a great way to celebrate, you know, the growth of the channel and everything else. Because you know what's good about this is, apart from other things, I've not put any pressure on me to do a particular artwork or something brand new. I'm just working on something that's already there. And maybe you're somebody that's got someone that's watching right now that has done artworks, and you've put it to one side and you've about it, or you just you had that that artist block thing, and you kind of given up on a piece. Hopefully this might even inspire you to go back and finish it, because it's nothing worse than having a piece of artwork that you haven't quite completed, and it nags you at the back of your mind thinking, oh, I need to go back to that artwork. So maybe something like this could help you. So if it's something that you think you might enjoy later on, if you join me next week, I'm going to carry on with this. I'll probably carry on with this one to finish off the buildings and thicken out the lands out, so I know how deep to go and draw the background. And then what I'll do is, once I've done it, I'm going to rub off all the pencil. But this has been a really fun, relaxing. And if you are someone that's got artwork that you haven't finished in a while, why not pick it up again? You never know. There might be a couple of things. One, find that you'll actually make improvements to the piece you did. So it's always worth just really investing in it. But I think that's it for now. So this is what it looks like at the moment. So this is where we're at the minute. Hopefully you can see it clearly. I think that looks. I mean, I'm looking at this camera over the side here. I think that's starting to look really, really good. And you're getting the real sense of him being really high up and everything, far back. And I've got some unique. Well, I say unique, not really unique, but really cool to come through. So I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with this piece tonight. But again, thank you very much for watching. Again, for everybody, you like a particular video, you've shared it with somebody, you've subscribed. The 71 people that have subscribed, thank you very much for that. Or you've even commented. All these things really help my channel to grow, and I really would like to see this channel, can go from strength to strength. One goal that would be great this year is to hit that 100 mark. That would be an amazing feat. It's not a big jump. I'm not a big by any means, but it'd be nice. It'd be amazing to get to that 100 mark on my channel. Then I can do something a bit more special. And who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't checked it out already. To hit 7K views on that is mind blowing. And for those of you who dedicate that video every time someone watches it to her memory, and it always inspires me to think that of all the videos on my channel, that one that's kind of a bittersweet moment in my life has done so well. So again, thank you everybody that's watched, that's subscribed, and everything else. And you know the drill. If you do like this, you do want to watch it, make sure you subscribe. So next week when we finish this off, in fact, I will finish this off next week. I'll make sure that this gets done next week. We'll work on this next week, next time round. But thanks again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have a lovely evening or day, depending on where you are. And until next time, catch you later. Bye-bye now.